She may have survived the Holocaust, but Mireille Knoll would still lose her life to a barbaric act. The 85-year-old was stabbed 11 times and her apartment set alight by a neighbor and an accomplice. When the two were arrested, it emerged one had told the other, "She's a Jew, she must have money." Her murder is being treated as an anti-Semitic hate crime, and thousands of people marched through the streets of Paris in her memory. And while most were welcome, the arrival of National Front leader Marine Le Pen was met with boos. The crowd was so hostile she was forced to leave. Many at the protest accused her party of having anti-Semites in its ranks. So is it true? Well, let's ask a member of the National Front Party, or Front National, Patricia Chagnon. She joins us from Abbeville in France. Patricia, good to have you on the Newsmakers. Those other marchers did not want Marine Le Pen there. They heckled her and she had to leave. You can fully understand why, can't you? She didn't need to be there.
It was very important. She was at the Marche Blanche, at the White March in Paris. As a matter of fact, it was the CRIF, the Jewish umbrella organization in France, that had actually asked her not to come. Do remember that Mireille Knoll's own son actually said everybody was welcome. Marine Le Pen was there to show that there is definitely, if there should have been any confusions within the past, there is no confusion at all today as to our stance and her stance as rejecting totally and for 100% anti-Semitism in France.
So why do you think those people were so angry? Was it just in their heads? Or might it be that your party is still seen as a heavy, far-right anti-Semitic party in France right now?
Well, let's talk about anti-Semitism in France. Anti-Semitism in France is not a general feeling. Anti-Semitism has been used and has been fueled by different groups promoting their ideas. It was used in the 19th century by anti-capitalist movements. It was also fueled after the Second World War by pro-Palestinian movements. It was then fueled by and sustained by the left and promoted by the left.
Certainly,
by
but
certain left-wing
it was also fueled and sustained by the founder of Front National, Jean-Marie Le Pen, the man who said the Nazi gas chambers were a detail of history, right? But I don't even want to talk about him. Let's put him in the past because he was kicked out of the party. Fair enough. Can I talk about last year?
Exactly.
Okay, so I've got a few examples from last year. Can I give you some examples from last year during the elections, right? National Front candidate. Let me quote you, a National Front candidate. "They continue to fill our ears about the Shoah. I know loads of people who don't particularly like Jews, especially amongst Catholics. You know why? It's because it's the Jews who killed Jesus." Let me give you Benoit Louellette, head of Front National in Nice.
No, listen, I can't. No. I don't want to listen to that. I think Marine's presence.
I want our viewers to understand why people were heckling Marine Le Pen. So hold on for a second. Benoit Louellette, head of Front National in Nice, secretly filmed in a documentary. I don't think there were that many deaths during the Shoah. Okay. Another candidate running for office. So what? What are 2,000 years anyway?
I will explain this to you.
There may be problems of the Catholic vis-a-vis the Jew. Let me give you one final one. Hold on, ma'am, one final one. Catherine Blaine, whether on Islam, Jews or homosexuality, it's a sign of total degeneration. And credit to the party, you kicked out of the party, and that's fine. But the point is, these people go, they see this Holocaust survivor killed.
Is this an interview?
Yes, it's an interview.
And are you trying to actually... All right, so can I answer you,
So the question's coming. So you're listening, right?
Okay.
So this all happened last year. We said Jean-Marie Le Pen said terrible things about the gas chambers. That was a long, long time ago. Fine, we put him away. But all of this stuff that I quoted you happened last year. So you're telling me that those other marchers who said, "Get out of our march," how dare you come here when members of your own party say these terrible things about Jews all the time, and suddenly you want to show up in solidarity when your party is littered with anti-Semitism? That's the point. Don't you understand them?
We have a party leader, and she's called Marine Le Pen. She has definitely taken made a breach with the past of her party. She has been excluding people with anti-Semitic views in our party. And I think the mere fact that she went and showed up definitely shows that the views that she holds and definitely condemns anti-Semitism. What the problem is here today is that you are blaming the finger, you're pointing the finger at the wrong person.
Who should I be pointing at?
Anti-Semitism, those fueling anti-Semitism today in France are the radical Islamists in France who have been feeding off anti-Semitism.
But we talk about that on that show. Hold on. So we talk about that, and when we have Islamist leaders on the show, we hold them to account. So just to be clear, when we have Islamist leaders on the show, we hold them to account, and we talk about things done in their name.
I certainly hope so.
I'm saying Marine Le Pen goes to this rally. I'm quoting you direct anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial, not from the 1970s or 80s, but from last year. And I'm saying, you say there's a clear divide between the past and the present.
There is a...
But there isn't.
Yes,
this was happening by candidates last year.
Well, listen. Many parties have people saying things that the direction does not approve. So let's talk about the more serious issues and why anti-Semitism is so rampant in France. That is the question. The question is, why is insecurity in France so big? And anti-Semitism needs to be linked to the total sentiment and ramping insecurity that is wreaking havoc in our country today, and which successive governments and Mr. Macron's government has not been able to curtail. Since 2006, 11 people have been killed because of the Jewish faith. But since 2013, 245 deaths can be attributed to Islamic terrorists in France, and over 900 people were wounded. Our French countrymen of Jewish faith have been saying that they are being targeted, targeted by those who do not no longer respect the rules of our republic. And we definitely agree with that, and that's why we stand up and defend our fellow countrymen against the hatred which is being spread in our country by the radical Islamists, and they are on the forefront. So let's not forget the origins of that. And if today Mr. Macron needs to realize that serious measures need to be taken to curtail the violence that is rampant and the insecurity that's rampant in our country on the one hand, but also radical Islam needs to be curtailed. Mr. Macron cannot go on saying, yes, I think radical Islam is the insidious enemy of our country, while he just allowed a week ago the Congress of the Islamic organizations in Le Bourget in France. No, it is time to dismantle radical Islamist societies and organizations in our countries, to close radical Islamic mosques, and to once and for all not only play lip service to anti-radical Islam, but also to prove and to take concrete measures. And I think the two are completely linked. Violence, rampant violence, where there are territories today in France where the rules of France and the rules of law no longer apply. We need to get those back.
Just to be absolutely clear, very finally, all those things that I mentioned from last year, you condemn them, right? Completely and utterly.
I condemn any anti-Semitic attitudes, of course. We are one nation, we are one people, we are French. We believe in our secular state. We believe that religion belongs to the private sphere, and we are one people, a French people, regardless of religion. And that is very important to maintain the harmony and the cohesion in our society.
Okay, Patricia Chagnon, I hope you'll come back on The Newsmakers. I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.